Hi, Brandon. It's been a while.
Hello, it has.
How were your 2 weeks off?
The same as my weeks on would have been, except I wasn't doing this.
Okay.
Incredibly busy.
Wow, you got an extra hour and a half a week.
Yeah, an extra hour and a half to do a different kind of work.
Right on. I've got my values, so you can keep yours, all right? This is issue 353 of the Insert Credit audio magazine, the only video game magazine that exists anymore, so you're just gonna have to deal with the horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and I like about 3 or 4 button presses between booting up a game and starting to play it. Anything less is too jarring, and anything more feels too overwrapped.
Oh my. Well, I'm Brandon Sheffield, and how many button presses do I like? I think maybe just one.
Just one? You want to boot up your console, hit start, and then you're just in it?
Yes, I think so, because I'm pretty tired of... So, like, on the PlayStation 3, if you put in, say, a Blu-ray or a video game, it would automatically start that up because it knew, okay, this is what you want. You've just put this in. Clearly, you want to play this game or this Blu-ray, which was true. And then it would go, and I would maybe hit a button. I would hit start for the game, or I would hit nothing for the Blu-ray because it would go. And now on the PlayStation 5, if I put in a Blu-ray, I have to hit my account first, and then I have to hit over to the media section, and then I have to scroll over to the Blu-ray disc, and then I have to hit a button on that. It's not right. That's not the way.
That's too much.
That's too many. It's too many button presses. So yeah. I'm saying bring it back to one. That's what I want. Just
radical.
One. Yes.
Well, we've got a guest here with us today. Joining us this week is video game writer, narrative designer, and historian Holly Nielsen.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Holly, how many button presses do you like between booting up a video game and playing it?
One is too little. I feel like that causes me to panic. I'm going straight into it. I'm not ready. I'm not, I need a little bit of time. So I'm going to say 3 or 4.
That's right. I think it's nice to have a few menus to navigate.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some variations of this game I could play before I start playing it. Just to go right into it. It feels like...
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
No. I need the kind of, middle space to ease myself into, to be fully immersed.
Maybe Brandon does that mental adjustment before he boots up the game. Maybe he sits down and meditates I am about to play Ridge Racer.
No, it's true. I got no time. When it's time to play a video game, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's race some ridges. Let's get them going.
Always ready to game.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to open the floor by asking a question tailored to Holly's expertise.
Oh no.
Based on the state of play 150 years ago, which modern video games would 19th century audiences enjoy the most?
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, that is an interesting question.
Thank you.
So that's late 1800s?
Yeah, I'm talking post-Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're talking kind of 1880, 1890. I'm going to say they would have loved Jackbox. They would have absolutely loved any game that's because that's essentially a parlor game, right? But with more added steps and with little screens. So I feel like they would have loved Jackbox because they're all about parlor games. They're all about word games, excuses that are to talk to your family, but not actually talk to your family. That's what they're wanting.
That makes a lot of sense. Did you ever play, this is, the answer to this question is always going to be no, but there's a game called Hidden in Plain Sight on the Xbox Live indie game platform. And it was a lot of 6 to 8 player, same screen multiplayer games, but they were really neat and weird. For example, there's a bunch of NPCs walking around, and one of the players is an imposter or something, and the other 7 players are trying to find them.
Okay, yeah.
So the imposter is trying to move like an NPC.
Ah, okay.
Oh, is that Spy Party?
Spy Party is a similar idea, but this was one of the mini games in Hidden in Plain Sight, of which there were several, and so I feel like they would have enjoyed that sort of thing. Possibly, just a lot of games that put you together in a social screaming at each other happily situation. Possibly.
Yeah, because I guess it depends who, am I talking about kind of a working class family where they're going to be in a smaller house, or am I talking about kind of upper middle class where they're going to have a dedicated room because they have a dedicated room for everything? So that, you know, are we going to have like the Victorian Jackbox room? This is where we go and we play whatever it's called. Quibble? No, I don't know. I can't remember.
Something.
Quiplash.
Quiplash. That's it. Yes. Okay. They've got their Quiplash parlor room. So I feel like they would have liked that. And what else? I don't know.
What about card-based games?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because there is, okay, so this is more kind of early 20th century, but I guess this isn't, I was about to say this is an open call if anybody has this game, but if you do have this game, then that's incredibly impressive. And I've never seen it. I've only seen adverts for it. And the adverts are brilliant because it's like a very glamorous woman lounging, you know, and I think it's kind of like early 1920s, late 19 teens or something, and it's a very glamorous lady lounging, and she's got a thing, she's like, I'm playing Auto Bridge, which is, you know, bridge the game, but it's like a single player version of bridge, and she's like, I'm playing against the best bridge players in the world, and looking like very glamorous, which is, I imagine that's how I look when like I'm playing my Switch and playing Civ, you know, actually like a very glamorous woman. So yeah, maybe actually they would have loved a bit of just like, I think, you know, an excuse to talk to people, but also an excuse not to talk to people.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess what I'm asking is, how's Mary Todd Lincoln's Hearthstone game?
Okay, well, I'm not an American historian. Please. You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
I'm curious, who would the wealthy industrialist's fail son, like what would he play? The guy with the money, too much time,
oh man,
no social skills.
He would probably, you know what? I feel like they'd a kind of free to play game where you sink all your money into it, like lose all your money. Oh yeah. The big into losing money in really stupid ways.
Yeah, he'd be like a whale that has all the amazing accoutrements that you can purchase. So that he's as rich in game as he is in real life.
Oh, absolutely. These are, you know, some of these, they would have been ripe for the kind of crypto NFT scam games.
Absolutely.
To pull back the curtain a little bit, we pre-recorded a bunch of episodes a few weeks ago to give ourselves a little bit of a break.
They weren't supposed to know.
Well, I'm peeling it back. And immediately afterwards, all of the video game news happened. So I want to ask you now, our popular segment, have y'all seen the news lately?
Try not to.
Boy, there certainly was some. We got the death of Game Informer magazine, which was the last American video game magazine of note. You all still have a whole bunch over there in the island that you live on. Yeah,
we have Edge, and I think there's some other things. It's been a while since I used to be a journalist, so it's been a while since I was looking at all these places. But yeah, I think Edge is still the main one.
Yeah, it still exists, but we don't have any anymore. That's it for us. We're done.
That's awful.
Yeah. And they shut the website down. That was very rude. Got rid of all the content that was on it.
Yeah, that is so brutal and horrible.
Yeah, I guess the only video game magazines we have left is that Fortnite guide you can get at the checkout counter at your grocery store.
There's got to be also a Minecraft one of those, right?
Yeah, there's a Minecraft one, there's a Fortnite one, and
there's a Roblox one.
Oh yeah, Roblox. Is Roblox a video game?
Yeah.
Question 3, is Roblox a video game?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it also contains video games.
Yeah.
It's a platform.
Is Roblox a console?
Yeah. Oh, God. No.
It's a way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no. So what other news you want to talk about, Javi?
Well, there was the shuttering of romhacking.net, which I feel like is equally as devastating as the shuttering of Game Informer, if not more so.
Yeah, we're really leaning heavily on archive.org for a lot of things now, and that's pretty scary because archive.org is like the more attention, or not attention, but the more reliant we are on archive.org, the more attention it gets, which means the more lawsuits it's constantly fighting. All the lawsuits get pointed at archive.org instead of spread around. That's bad news.
Yeah.
It's kind of that. Whenever I talk to kind of other historians and talking about kind of like digital preservation and things like that, I try and make the point of like, look, it's easier for me to research late Victorian board games than it would be for me to look at early 2000s online games,
right?
Or games that are happening now. And that's pretty scary when you think about it. Of like, it's way easier to research something that's 150 years old because it's physical. And unless, fingers crossed, the archive, doesn't flood or set on fire and something like that. Now watch all that happen.
Addicting games.com flash games lost like tears in rain.
Yeah, right. just gone.
Yeah, so you can, when you're looking at that stuff, you're going to periodicals and microfiche and whatever and scans of things, right?
Yeah, I'm going into big dusty buildings and getting out big dusty boxes. And, well, actually, no, an archivist is doing that for me because they're the ones that actually do all the work. And then I sit there and they bring me things and I look at stuff. And yeah, and sometimes it's online, but most of the time it's going to an archive, which is the fun thing.
It's hard to research anything now because of the state of search. So, like, physically going to a building is more valuable.
Oh, it's
ever.
Great.
It's really, we live in a really weird time.
We really do.
Because we had all this really good ability to search for things, and you could look for something really obscure and find some person on some forum talking about it and get a clue of where to look for more things. Now you look for something and Google is like, did you mean like Marvel Endgame? Mm-hmm. Like whatever you're searching for, they're like, oh, did you mean Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
No.
You're looking for Wolverine versus Deadpool, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Why would you be searching for anything else? Yeah, the problem is Wolverine versus Deadpool is one of those movies that puts everything in it. So anything you search for is relevant to Wolverine versus Deadpool.
Yeah. I mean, I found in my research, as someone who looks at the history of play, and I'm particularly interested in, because that gets dominated by children playing, which is great and valid, but I'm really interested in adults playing.
Yeah, parlor games.
Yeah, and, and how they're spending their play lives and things like that. And I haven't, and when you get into researcher brain, you just you just type something in and you don't realize what you're doing. And, and when you're looking at adult play and you go to Google and you go, I just typed this thing in, this is the name of a paper. And then you end up accidentally with loads of porn on your screen. You have to be like, no, that's not what I meant. And that has to, yeah. So I feel like as a researcher, I've already had to deal with, okay, I just can't Google this because Google cannot understand what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. What do you do? This is, I'm sidetracking us, but what do you do, or how do you determine whether ancient journalists are lying to you? Because, like, for example,
are you asking about ethics in ancient game journalism?
Oh God, you've probably seen the thing that goes around every couple of years about like lesbian countesses that fence topless. Have you seen this?
It rings a bell.
So it was like this thing kept going around. It's like, it's amazing. It's true history. Everybody loves it. And there are all these depictions of it as well in oil paintings and things of these duels. And there's reports of the duels and whatever. But it was all made up by one Italian journalist who heard about something like that, sort of, and then exaggerated it a bunch. And then everyone loved it, obviously, because it's topless ladies fighting with swords, and if you get a little nick, then you lose, and then you're the loser's slave or whatever, the winner's slave or whatever, something like that. And it was all made up in like 150 years ago, 200 years ago.
And it still holds. It's such a hold on the imagination.
People want it to be true. So how do you get into that? Like if you get conflicting reports on things. Anytime
you look at a newspaper or anything like that, you go into the assumption that this is obviously a biased source because every source is biased. Yeah. Even like people go, oh, well, the advent of photography. And you go, no, even before what we're dealing with now, photographs can be staged, they can be doctored.
Yeah, Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Arthur Conan Doyle had proof that fairies exist. Look at the picture.
Yeah, they definitely weren't just bored children cutting out pictures of fairies. They're definitely real. Yeah, so whenever you're reading stuff like that, you always have the assumption that, this is a biased source. It depends what you're looking at, because a lot of the stuff I look at is about, okay, how are people thinking about this thing rather than what, so these sources say that, this may or may not have happened, but this shows, A, this was selling really well. B, there's a reason why they're saying this, because this type of thing is something within the popular imagination. C, it's, so you're kind of working around it a bit, I guess. And then also just, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, because I feel like there's one of my favorite. So trade journals are like famously incredibly boring because they usually are. But one of my favorite sources is the Games and Toys Trade Journal, which is like a British trade journal for the toy industry and games industry, late 19th to early 20th century, because it's so bitchy. It's so like, it's got such a strong personal voice, which is really strange for a trade journal. And it is so mean. And like, so there'll be like all these things where it's like they'll have a big title saying like, you know, Mr. Thompson fails. And they'll be like, oh, Mr. Thompson is being diagnosed, you know, with illness and he is giving up his you know, his thing. And it is so mean. And I find it fascinating.
The New York Post of its day.
It is so, and it's interesting because they're not named editors. So they kind of have this weird anonymity of like, you know, reporting on the industry, but then also being within it. And it's very interesting. So there's lots of interesting stuff in there because there's some fantastic stories in there. A lot of them I do not believe happened. A lot of them I wish they happened. I wish they were true, but I cannot get any secondary evidence. I cannot get any secondary sources. There was one which did turn out to be true, which is a giant suffragette doll that was made, like a giant, you know, kind of, I can't remember how many feet tall, you know, like 50 feet tall, giant doll kind of thing. And I was like, you know, see that. But then I got a picture of it and it turned out to be true. So that was a rare one. Although they criticized how ugly she was because, of course, they did.
Yeah, I was helping someone research the history of games in Iran, and it was really super interesting, but I was trying to encourage him to get multiple sources on things, and in many cases there just weren't. And sometimes a lot of the resources had been destroyed. And like you run into issues where it's like you feel like you have to say this might have happened because you can't be 100% sure on some things.
No, I mean, one of the keys to being a historian is being like, perhaps, you know, maybe this, you know, nothing, very rarely is anything set in stone, because the whole point of history, you know, and people say, oh, you know, they're rewriting history. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously we're rewriting history. History's a written thing. If we weren't rewriting history, what was my job?
You learn to lean on words like likely and suggests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there were ways around it. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's in the news.
Yeah, that is actually an interesting lead in what you just brought up about Iran to a question I got from a friend of mine who's been going through the backlog. What's up, Floyd? Floyd was interested in knowing what are some of the most successful video games of the 16 and 32-bit eras to come from smaller countries that didn't dominate the market.
Okay, so smaller countries, I guess we're not including places like England.
Yeah.
Smaller countries.
Right. Basically not the UK, the US, or Japan.
Technically smaller. And I don't know that we would want to include Germany, or would we? Because,
that's true.
Because we got your factor fives and whatnot that were definitely there. So I wouldn't say taking the world by storm, but you had Taiwan and Korea were definitely in there.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, at the very least, making things that did come out, that did make it here sometimes. So there's that. I guess France is another one that's too big to include. I don't know if they're called Gaelco or Gaelco or something like that, but Gaelco was a Spanish arcade game maker in the late 80s, early 90s, and they people might know them best for Smashing Drive on the GameCube, which came out and has a hilarious like intro song with a guy kind of just warbling. But they did a lot in the 16-bit era in arcades, and they were one of the only European devs reliably, frequently making new arcade games. That's an interesting one.
They made Radical Bikers. They made Galico Tuning Race Championship. They made Tokyo Cop Special Police Reinforcement.
Yeah, and they were also very influenced by manga and anime and stuff. And they were like trying to convince you that they were making Japanese video games. So that was kind of interesting stuff. Who else do we got, though? When you talk about that era, not a lot of them were influential. Like it was really the big urban hubs that were making the larger influential things at that time. But there was a lot of interesting curiosities, certainly. Like with the Iran research, the first Iranian video game found was made in the 90s, video game.
Right.
So pretty much skipping the whole 8 and 16-bit era entirely, and that it was also on PC. So, but there were a lot of games that had regional popularity. Like in the Czech Republic, you had a history of adventure games that started pretty early, and you had people starting off by doing almost like, God, I don't want to reference Woody Allen, but
too late.
He's historically significant.
What were those movies that he would like redub with new stuff? It was What's Up Pussycat, one of those? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Anyway, they were doing similar stuff where they would take
What's Up Tiger Lily?
Tiger Lily, that's the one. They would take a game from the West, and then they would put original text into it that told a completely different story that was like, a critique of communism or whatever kind of subversive thing they were trying to do at the time. And then that led to the creation of local adventure games, and their adventure game market is still relatively strong because you got Amanita Design working there, and they have that animation industry that they got. Anyway, I kind of lost the track there because I couldn't find a popular one, but
I guess, does it mean popular internationally?
Yes.
Right? I use the word successful, which could either mean monetarily or it could mean it started something.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm afraid if it happens after the Second World War, then I don't have a lot of knowledge, so I'm afraid I can offer nothing. But that was incredibly interesting.
I thought so. Maybe I'll ask it again when we have Frank on the show.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, he may have some more in there. I thought you were going to go. There was an interesting discussion recently, which was what are the 8 and 16-bit platformers that would be considered all-timers that are from outside Japan?
That's another good question.
But let's save that one for later.
Yeah. For now, I want to do one of our favorite games. I call this the adaptation game, where I ask you to take some piece of media or culture that should be unadaptable into a video game and figure out a way to do it. This week, I would like you to somehow hack together a video game adaptation of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, God, why?
Oh, God.
So, BioShock jokes.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out as a concept.
Yeah, I have it in my notes to deduct 5 points from anyone who mentions BioShock during this segment.
I'm just saying they're here in our minds. Atlas Shrugged. I have actually read it.
I have never read it.
I read The Fountainhead. I did not read Atlas Shrugged. I tried, but didn't get far.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's like she couldn't write her way out of a paper bag, and every character is her. Yeah. Every character is Ayn Rand. And the reason I read it was because at the time, who was it? It wasn't Eli Roth. It was somebody was trying to make a BioShock game. It was Eli Roth. Was trying to make a BioShock movie. And because I had gotten invited into a room with a bunch of people to talk about it, I was like, this is my big chance. So I gotta read Atlas Shrugged, which is related to BioShock, and I did, and it was
Zack Snyder's favorite book.
Miserable. So anyway, it's all about making really fancy metal that you can make into beams that you can then put a train on.
Oh, it's a crafting game.
It's a crafting game.
Okay.
And you have to be a ruthless industrialist. If anyone needs something, if anyone has like sentiments about their children, those things all have to be squashed.
Okay, so it's a crafting / tycoon game.
It's a crafting / tycoon game, but I think that also there might be a survival element where the important thing is that you survive and other people don't.
Selfish survival.
Selfish survival. Actually, has there been a game where you were intentionally trying to survive at the expense of others?
I don't know, but I feel like that should exist.
It feels
is
like
that
it should.
Rust? I think that's what Rust is.
I guess Rust is that, except it's multiplayer. I was thinking of like a single player experience that would make it even more kind of you're the baddie sort of terrifying. Yeah, but Rust does have that. But yeah, I think it's a tycoon game, but you'd want to have like you'd still want to have an avatar like a third person running around avatar, because that's very important to Ayn Rand is the individual Ubermensch type of character. So Peter Molyneux is making a game kind of like that right now.
All the hits.
This is what a cursed stream of names that's come out of your mouth.
That's what happens on this show, unfortunately.
He's in the news.
He is in the news.
Welcome back to Gamescom, Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, have you seen his new thing, Holly?
Yes, I have. Yeah, that is.
He's doing Goddess again.
With a legally distinct, well, possibly not even legally distinct Fable world, which is why you always call your game world a kind of hard to copyright mythological name.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it would be that. It would be a combo of his like build anything, but also you can be in third person. Then maybe the God mode wouldn't be there, but if you're in God mode, then you are Ayn Rand, I guess.
Okay.
That's what you do. You embody her.
Now, I know absolutely nothing about Atlas Shrugged. I have not. Atlas Shrug? I'm not even saying it right.
Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged. Okay. The only thing I do know, other than, general discussions about it and Ayn Rand and individualism and all that stuff, is that many years ago, when I used to watch The Bachelor with a group of friends, when they would release the new, here are the Bachelors, they would have a little profile in each one and they'd have their favorite book. And nearly all of them either said the Bible or Atlas Shrugged.
Wow.
The most cursed group of men, always, consistently. And so I think, okay, the Atlas Shrugged game is you are one of the bachelors going into, I guess, the Bachelorette, because there's multiple bachelors, and you have to be the ultimate individual man, but you have not actually read Atlas Shrugged. So you need to pretend.
Which of those was the bigger red flag on The Bachelor? A Bible favorite or an Atlas Shrugged favorite?
I just think even going on The Bachelor, like you're already starting like you're not, it's not good.
No, nobody there's super great.
Personally, I think Atlas Shrugged is the bigger red flag because the Bible is something that a lot of people will have pretended to read more ambiently, whereas Atlas Shrugged is something you would pretend to read with a greater degree of specificity of weirdness.
I feel like you're really saying something.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also very American. I see this. Yes, it's incredibly American. So it was never even, I think BioShock was my first ever introduction to Ayn Rand as a thing. And it was just like, what? Excuse me?
My one note is that none of what we've discussed so far incorporates the cover of Atlas Shrugged, which is that big old statue of Atlas carrying a globe. How does that factor into the video game?
That's the guy that's going into The Bachelor.
Yeah, that's it.
He's going into The Bachelor. He's got the world in his shoulders.
This is now a dating game where you're Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand is the Bachelorette.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the Bachelorette, exactly.
Yeah, she's the Bachelorette.
And you're Atlas.
Because I feel like she would have loved, she's the only woman. She's, she would have loved that.
Right.
And you are Atlas. You've got the world in your back. You're saying Atlas Shrugged is your favorite book. You've never read it. So she's going to ask you questions and you've got to bluff your way through it.
Oh, this is it. You got to bluff your way through. This is like a Yakuza minigame. I love it.
Yeah. I'm very Yakuza. That's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining lots of prompts, button prompts coming up quickly, big question marks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's what I imagine.
Well, that's a lot more fun.
Oh, this is a much better game than the Crafting Tycoon one.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give Holly the win on this one, who has not read Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this half of the show. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Yeah.
There's always children screaming outside, so I've had to close the window. It's very inconsiderate of them.
Shrieking children.
Yeehaw! Holly, just want to say it's going very well so far. You're doing great.
Good. I'm glad. I'm very. I'm afraid I'm running on a lot of caffeine and not a lot of sleep, so I may not make a lot of sense.
That's a good energy to bring.
Okay, good.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time.
Find a release of it anywhere. So it's coming out only as a sequel. So I'm gonna
all right, keep your eyes peeled.
That's kind of fun.
There you go. That's been Snake Watch.
And speaking of eyes, here's a fact from worldanimalprotection.org.au.
Okay.
Instead of eyelids, snakes have a thin membrane attached to each eye to protect them called the brill, which in German means glasses.
Oh, there you go.
Little snake glasses.
And now you know about snakes. which means it's time for us to go to the dirt bag. This is our segment in every episode of Insert Credit where we take a question submitted to us by the fine listeners at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for mere dollars a month, you can submit your own questions to the show, get monthly bonus episodes, and other interesting surprises, which may be within your particular set of weird desires.
So many more snake facts.
More snake facts, maybe. Maybe we'll do an all snake fact episode. I'm into it.
Oh my.
This week's question comes from Gaagaagiins, who asks, other than Saturn Bomberman and the real sport dodgeball, what are some other good, bad, or otherwise interesting ways in which multiplayer games or match types keep eliminated players involved, or at least entertained?
Okay, so I guess we're excluding Saturn Bomberman because it's obvious, but that's one where...
That's the big one.
That's the big one where after you're dead, you hover around the screen and you can throw bombs in.
Yeah.
So
I recall Mario Kart 64 having a similar thing where in battle mode, if you were eliminated, you could still patrol the track as like a bomb with wheels to take people out.
I believe there is still some sort of Mario Kart thing because I was recently hearing an associate complain about how that was their children's favorite thing to do is like be off the track and harass anyone that was still playing the regular karting game. So I believe that's still in there somewhere.
I mean, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd be proud of my child.
Turning into a stage hazard. Now that I can't win, I'm going to be everyone else's problem.
Yeah, exactly. If I can't win, I may as well be a nuisance.
Mm-hmm. Now we have to think of other ones. And so that will happen next.
Brilliantly done, Brandon.
Coming right up.
If you want, you could make one up. How about that?
That's true.
I'm trying to think now.
Yeah, part of the problem is this doesn't really work for like massively multiplayer games too much. There's got to be one, but I can't think of any like PUBG style or battle royale where someone's going to be mad at me because I'm sure there is one, but where you as a dead ghost can actually do stuff.
I think you should inhabit the limb of one of the existing players, like haunt one of the limbs, so then you can occasionally just like make their leg like twitch or something.
That's pretty good.
I'm just thinking of being a nuisance now. That's my, yeah.
Well, one sort of nuisancey thing, which I think counts, is your Souls games where you can see the deaths of people and they can mislead you.
Yes, yeah. And
that's pretty good.
Like when you walk into what is definitely a safe space and then you see someone like freaking out and dying and you're just like, well, what happened? What did you do?
How did this occur? Well, let's see. What multiplayer genre would we want to be in?
I'm thinking about like war games, maybe.
You know, I was thinking about what about the players on the bench of a sports game? Now, I'm probably the last person who should be talking about sports, but
here you are.
If we're talking about fantasy sports, and say you have the football, what could players on the sidelines do that would be entertaining to disrupt the flow of the match?
Maybe in like a baseball game, they could call out something disruptive when they're taking a swing.
Well, like in Hit the Ice on the PC Engine, which is the only console I can ever think about.
Legally.
The NPCs in the audience would throw things like banana peels and octopus and whatever onto the ice and mess with you. So we could let players do that. Yeah,
I was imagining like throwing hot dogs, pretzels, anything you might find, general baseball paraphernalia. I don't know. This is very much not my... I'm not only talking about sports, I'm talking about American sports, so I'm doubly out of my comfort zone.
It could be cricket.
To be honest, I know even less like about cricket.
That's true of everyone.
I know absolutely nothing of... That's I don't think anyone knows. It just takes 5 days and it's an excuse not to spend time with your family. That's, that's the joy of sport.
Okay, so be a pigeon and poop on people? Is that where we're going?
Or like get in the way of things. You know, like there's always a thing of like, oh no, they hit the ball, but it hit a pigeon and then it like interrupts and then, I don't know, like something just get, well, yeah, but then it's like, well, did the pigeon save the game? Sacrifice its life for the love of sport.
You do get your occasional cat running across the field.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Or a dog takes the ball, runs off with it. That's fun.
My concern about this mechanic is the idea that if it's the type of game where previously every player had their own stake and there could only be one winner, the eliminated player might end up favoring a different player. And then it essentially becomes 2 against 1 as opposed to every player for themselves. And it becomes unduly difficult on one particular person.
Did you have the game Sardines growing up? Is this a thing, or is this? Am I speaking? Okay, so it's like hide and seek.
Sounds like something, but please explain.
Oh yeah,
it's like hide and seek, but it starts off with one person, and then as the person finds people, they join the person looking. So it ends up with one big kind of like mob looking for, gradually dwindling number of people. So maybe you could have a kind of Katamari Damacy style. Once they get kind of consumed into, so it gets harder and harder as it goes along, and you just have this, I don't know, some awful giant eldritch monster of limbs. I don't know.
Very limb focused, I've noticed.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Don't know what that says about me.
Have you played Octodad? I feel like you'd get a lot out of Octodad.
Something I think would be interesting and maybe has been done, but I haven't really seen, would be a sort of parallel play for the dead players. Like once X number of you are out, you start your separate parallel skirmish. So it's almost like losers finals in a tournament or something. And perhaps you could fight your way back into the world of the living. This sounds like something someone must have done.
Yeah.
Is this a thing in the Call of Duty game where you go into the thing, then you fight, and if you win, you go back into the game? Is that a thing, or am I just making that up? Again, not really my area, but it sounds like a thing.
It sounds real.
It does. I play all. People are going to be so mad. I play all the Call of Duties, but I only play single player. Because
you need to check the state of the propaganda art.
I guess I gotta. It's true.
It's for the same reason you read Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, I'm starting to say this is the first time I've actually met you, Brandon, and so far you've spoken about Woody Allen, you've talked about reading Atlas Shrugged.
I'm the worst person you've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's quite a list, you've really made, congratulations for being up there.
I'm just digging that hole. But yeah, since Bomberman was taken off the table, I can't think of other existing ones that are, because I think the best context for it is really same screen multiplayer, because then you're like taking sides and playing favorites and stuff. It's still unfortunate, but it's at least funny because you're there with each other and being like, how could you? So I would want it to be something like that, and maybe it's a Mario Kart. But I'm very intrigued now by this parallel fight back to life idea, and now I want to look into it. So that's what I think.
Yeah, it might become a secondary game where after you're eliminated, your score isn't determined by how much you win, but by how much you cause others to lose. Yeah,
and I do sometimes talk about the original Prey for Xbox 360, where when you die, you go into the spirit realm and you have to do like different kinds of challenges to come back, and I find that interesting. It's not multiplayer though.
All right, my next topic. Y'all see that Amazon Secret Level show, which is like this anthology show they're doing of like episodes all set within like, instead of doing a whole show based on a video game, they do one episode of a show based on a video game?
No.
Oh, that's what that was.
So there's like a Mega Man episode. There's like a God of War episode.
I watched the Gamescom thing, but I was making I sound like the most British person in the world. I was making a cup of tea when that came on. And wasn't quite sure what was actually going on. So it's an anthology show.
One.
It's a Pac-Man one?
Yeah, there's a Pac-Man.
Is it about like the creation of Pac-Man, or like Pac-Man running around?
It's about the mythology of Pac-Man, I guess.
Is it like the Toys Who Made Us, but for video games?
No, because these are within the world of those video games. It's like, rather than make a movie based on the video game or a TV show, it's one episode of that.
Are they in the art style of the games?
It doesn't look like it. It looks like really over-polished, super, like maybe an AI was involved.
Well, I haven't seen it, and it sounds bad.
It sounds bad, which is why I'm asking, what episode would you pitch for this series? Like, what video game thing would you want to make one episode of, and what would it be about?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, remember, this is fiction. It's set in the world of the video game.
Okay, fiction.
Okay.
I was missing that part.
I would maybe something like The Sims, and it would just be like the most over dramatic soap opera thing, but like all the random stuff that can happen in The Sims. Someone's crushed by like an airplane engine coming out the sky.
Oh, a woman goes to the bathroom and finds the door has disappeared.
Oh yeah. No, I love it. You go in the
Sims
pool.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like that. Sims Twilight Zone.
I would like to do some sort of drama where you are the shopkeeper in an RPG.
Oh, like a Tornico.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which RPG I would most want to be. Oh, let's just say Game of the Year 2023, Final Fantasy 16.
Right.
Maybe it would just be about the one village there, and adventurers come and go. There aren't very many, but it's about the drama that goes on behind the scenes. It's like The Bear, but set in an RPG. Is what I'm saying. So, Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, maybe that's better for like an MMO then, where like you have to keep your shop stocked for all these players who keep showing up.
And they're like the whims are changing, and
you're dealing with the ridiculous economy of an MMO,
right?
Yeah.
So by the end of the episode, like things like a chainmail shirt is like $1 million gold or whatever.
So Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, that's how you keep up the stress of the bear.
Is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll be shots from a completely different MMO in the intro sequence that only Brandon will catch.
Yes, that's right. Okay, what else have we got?
I'm trying to think. It's got to be something like, I'm a big Harvest Moon fan, and I like the idea of the Harvest Moon game, but people talking about the Harvest Moon character behind the protagonist's back. Because, the whole thing in those games is nothing happens until the protagonist does anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And also when you think about it, this person turns up to your town, they win every competition, they're dating everyone. They're like, they're a total nightmare. And so maybe some kind of Harvest Moon reflecting pastoral pastiche, but of just being like, hey, this person is a nightmare. Like, this person's turned up.
How did we get this sociopath here?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a story maybe in the fact that in the very early Animal Crossing games, your neighbors could be a little bit rude or
they were
apathetic to
so
you.
rude.
But like in the newer ones, they can't be.
Yeah, I miss
so
it.
Like, what changed? What happened?
They can still be a little rude.
No, but they were cruel.
Yeah.
In the original ones, they were like mean.
I wonder if it's like that Twilight Zone episode where it's like, it's good that you changed the island. I'm happy you moved here. Please don't send me away.
Is that I spent ages when I was playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, the new one. I got, I used one of the amiibo cards to get Roll the Penguin, who's like one of my favorite characters. And I spent lots of, iron ore and all of that getting him to my island. Then he finally got to my island and he kept on asking to leave. And every time I was like, no, you're not leaving. Not after everything I've done to get you here, Roll. You're staying. It's like, it's a nightmare. It's horrible.
Oh, God. Yeah, that is a story for sure. Yeah. Not one Nintendo would want, but there it is.
This would probably be another horror story type thing, but almost like a Bambi style. You have a cute little Goomba who's just trying to live their life, just going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mario stomps their mom, and then it's just like trying to escape Mario, who's trying to destroy you,
tragic.
like hiding under things, going into pipes,
and also being like squashed to death is particularly awful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the first part is like your happy life as a Goomba with the Goomba family, and then after that, it's like an extended chase scene where you're being hunted for sport, essentially.
I like that. I'd maybe also like a David Attenborough documentary about the monsters in Monster Hunter.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because they're just animals. I mean, I love Monster Hunter, but as soon as they introduce the like limping mechanic where they can limp away back to their nest, and you're just like, oh, I'm the monster.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'd like a David Attenborough where he's kind of narrating these beautiful, majestic creatures who then get slaughtered for living in their environment.
Yeah, I'm imagining that Attenborough treats the monster hunter themselves as like a predator.
Yeah.
Like another part of the ecosystem.
Yeah. But also really cool because they've got twin blades.
Life is about to be disrupted by an invader.
All right. We've pretty much put a whole season together. Get at us, Amazon. Please give us $70 million.
$70 million, please.
That's our price. I got to ask you guys, what is the selecting a thermostat temperature to reflect your priorities in comfort, cost, and environmental impact of video games?
What? Excuse me?
We started this segment as what is the Citizen Kane of video games, and we've gotten more and more esoteric as the show has evolved over 350 episodes.
So selecting the temperature of your home is something which has a lot of factors for me because I think about energy use.
Mm-hmm.
I think about like CO2 and stuff. There's my own personal comfort, and I'm trying to weigh how comfortable I am versus how guilty I will feel about ruining the environment, even though my own personal choices are such a drop in the bucket compared to factories in the military-industrial complex.
And there's also the money aspect.
And there's the money aspect, how much it costs me. Yes. Okay, so those are some of the factors, which basically sounds like, going back to The Sims, it sounds like the wants meters that you have to balance. But like if they were almost all bad and like the comfort goes up as all the negative things also rise. So it's something like that. If the Sims sliders were bugged against you.
Yeah, the Sims sliders seem a lot more forgiving than that. Like increasing one bar isn't going to decrease another bar.
Not necessarily.
Did you ever decide on the Citizen Kane of video games?
Oh yeah, it's Doom.
Okay.
For the record, Holly made a face.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
This is settled law. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
There's no going into it.
I didn't remember that, and I don't remember why that was decided. So, actually, I believe it was not because of narrative, but because of technique and formative building blocks of the medium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with story.
No.
You don't remember that part where Charles Foster Kane took out a chainsaw and ripped through his sled?
Yeah, Roseblood.
There you go, Roseblood.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to say something and maybe it's too mean, so please edit it out. It is if it is.
No, but I welcome it.
I feel like that's very much, and I don't doubt in terms of impact and people, how many people got into video games by modding Doom and things like that. It feels like a 30/40 something man answer.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Insert Credit. Holly, what's your answer about the Citizen Kane of video games?
Yeah, you want to answer that one?
Oh, does it have to be video games?
It does, because that's the premise of this show.
Okay. But I deliberately avoid video games in my research. Okay. Oh, but now that I've criticized you, I have to come up with a good answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn it. I wasn't thinking.
And realize we do this in 6 minutes every time. And so sometimes you wind up with having to go in a direction.
Look at this beautiful hole you've dug yourself into.
But also, what is it? Is it like, what do we mean by Citizen Kane? I'm going to do the academic thing of turning the question around.
Yeah. We do this every time I ask a video games question, please.
And that's why we wound up with going with the form
but
of
I
it.
feel
So
I feel like not a lot of people actually watch Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Okay. It's more of a reference point than it is an actual thing in and of itself. So I'm trying to think of a game that has become almost a metaphor rather than thing that people actually play.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Pong is one
I think that's also Doom. Not a lot of modern people play Doom.
Yeah, not the original Doom. We're talking about the first Doom. And the other reason that Doom came up was because of its like fakery of 3D, for example, like in Citizen Kane, when you got that big pan through a house, and they actually they had a table and they pulled it apart so that the camera could dolly through because they're faking all this stuff. That was part of it. But it is a weird answer, certainly. You don't think of Citizen Kane when you think of Doom.
There's not a non-weird answer, though.
Right.
No. So it's something else that's probably formative and which people hold up in high regard but haven't necessarily interacted with.
Oh, maybe something like, oh God, my brain has gone totally dead. JRPG, old.
Dragon Quest?
No, but similar vibes. I'm running on pure caffeine at this point, so my brain is not working. Time, like a Chrono Trigger or something.
Chrono Trigger?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just thinking of like formative things that maybe people now haven't played.
Yeah, though it's formative, that's also age dependent. Whether it's formative. So the thermostat. How about for that?
Oh God. Okay. Yes, thermostat. I feel like a thermostat is one of those things where if there's multiple people, usually only one person is happy playing, happy with the thermostat. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say it's Mario Party because I love Mario Party and I make everyone play it with me and everyone hates the experience and I love it. And that is very much a thermostat experience. Everyone else is uncomfortable. I'm having a great time.
I love it. All right, good answer. I'm going to go on to the lightning round here. This is a new game I've decided to deploy this week. I call this game Job Interview. I'm going to ask each of you a series of common job interview questions. You're interviewing for a management position at a Fortune 500 company. I used a random number generator to pick which one, so we're going with Costco.
Okay.
You will answer these questions.
Do you know what that is, Holly?
Yeah.
Supermarket type thing?
Yeah, it's a big one where you have to have a membership to go.
Yes, and you get like industrial quantities of things.
Absolutely, yes. That's the one.
Good.
You're going to answer these questions in character as a video game character of your choice.
Oh my.
If your character has like a voice, don't do the voice. Just answer them the way that character would do it.
This is a tough one.
This is hard.
Okay.
At the end of the game, the other panelists and I will have to guess which character you are playing.
Oh, God.
Do you have your characters?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you a second to think about it.
So I'm doing a job interview?
Yeah, as the character you are choosing in your head, but not telling me who it is.
You didn't make this one easy.
No. First, how did you hear about this position?
Am I answering?
Yeah, you go first.
I floated up in the sky.
Okay.
And I saw an advert for it.
I read it on a cave wall.
Very good. I already have some ideas.
Yes.
Why do you want to work at this company?
There's endless food that I can inhale and consume.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I have a very good idea. Mm-hmm. Brandon, why do you want to work at this company?
I don't want to work, but I need the money to pay for my my addiction to leopard skin tunics.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's right.
What can you bring to the company?
Well, I can really I can really smash things.
Yeah,
I can smash things with my skull. I don't feed me too much meat. I'll get really mad.
Okay.
But
I see you're already jumping to greatest weaknesses here.
Yes, I can also chew my way up a waterfall. So,
yeah,
that's really helpful at Costco.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a real chameleon, so you put someone in front of me, I can match their skill.
Oh,
you know,
that's great.
You give me a great pre-existing manager, I've got it, and I'll probably have a little hat at the same time.
Brandon's already answered this one, but what's your greatest weakness?
My greatest weakness is trying to think of all
I don't know if you have a lot of weaknesses.
I don't. I'm kind of designed to be a pretty friendly, accessible manager.
Right.
People in bathrobes, really big people with hammers in bathrobes.
Yeah, they don't like you.
No, really don't like me.
Yeah, you're not popular with the duck demographic.
My greatest weakness is I have no weakness.
Yeah. Tell me about a challenge or conflict you faced and how you dealt with it.
Well, there were some people that were just running around, minding their business, and I didn't like it. So I smashed them with my skull.
That's some great problem solving.
That's how I solved most of my problems. Once I was covered in piranha.
Yeah.
And then I just started spinning. I just started spinning, and then the problem was solved. It was fine after that.
I love this. This all looks great. Holly, same question.
So I would say I've got great lungs. Mm-hmm. I'm very, I can, anything that's in front of me, I can absorb it.
Sure.
I can, anything, it's a box, it's a person.
Yeah, great lungs are very important at Costco.
Concept, So, if there's a big box over there, don't worry about it. I've got it. I've eaten it by now. And I can spit it out. So it's not gone.
So that's not necessarily a challenge you have faced, but one that you're preparing
a challenge? Okay, a challenge I have faced. Occasionally, I end up in these very strange battlefields, and there's a lot of people from Fire Emblem there for some reason. Yeah. And they have swords, and I don't. and I can usually hang around for quite a while.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
How do you explain this gap in your resume?
Ooh, I would say I was in space, probably. I think that's where I've been, in space or in a giant robot.
Yeah.
You can't hold a pencil to write a CV or a resume when you're in a giant robot. They just crush the pencil. Yeah.
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I was only recently born. So you know, it's things get a little spotty.
Yeah.
Because of that.
What do you like to do outside of work?
I have a pretty adorable house somehow. Yeah. I'm a big fan of swallowing things.
Yeah.
Got a big mouth and I love it. Can't get enough of it. You know, if there's a milkshake, the whole thing's going down, glass straw, all of it. And I like to sleep, and I look pretty damn cute when I do it.
Myself, I'm into dinosaur princesses. That's my main deal.
Yeah.
Dinosaur princesses wearing little crowns. That's what I like.
Okay. Last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where you're sitting, because I will have absorbed you and stolen your inner essence and power.
Yeah.
I see myself in the meat department.
Yeah.
I did say don't let me get too close, but I'm going to get there.
That's your ambition.
I'm going to get there.
That concludes the interview. Now I have to guess who you played.
Yeah, good luck.
I don't think you can do it.
Okay, Holly, I'm going to guess that you're Voldo from Soul Calibur. And Brandon, I'm going to guess that you're Prompto from Final Fantasy 15.
Awesome.
Got it.
Very good. Correct.
Was that right?
Correct in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized I've got my Citizen Kane answer.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about it while I was pretending to be Voldo, as I'm often doing. I would go Mystery House, Roberta Williams.
Oh.
Because I feel like from a studies perspective, it's a game that is brought up a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like in film studies to game studies, I feel like there's a parallel.
That's a really good answer, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I approve.
One of the big things, like film studies wise, with Citizen Kane, is you wind up watching clips of it before you've seen it. Does Mystery House have that aspect to it, would you say?
I think so.
Oh, God, yeah. Because it's easier to... So I've never actually played it, but I've seen so many screenshots of it. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I mean, I'm just going to say because it's my choice and I'm going to defend it
now
it's very...
because I criticize
people. As you should.
No, you've absolutely justified yourself, your Voldo.
Thank you.
Now, this is the part of the show where we offer recommendations to our audiences. Things that maybe we've been working on that we'd like them to check out, or just things we have been enjoying or appreciating that we would like them to check out, or things we think they should do.
Yeah, usually I have a bunch of things I've written down on my phone, and then I actually don't know where my phone is. What a blessing.
What a conundrum.
So, yeah, the only thing I can think of to recommend, I don't really want to recommend because I saw this movie that was really cool, but there's a very strong chance that the director is an anti-Semite. It's one of those things. He's Polish, and the information is hard to get, but there is solid information that he got his. He was trying to contest the Polish Registry of Important Persons said that his father was Jewish, and he wanted that part expunged from the record. So there's a maybe his father wasn't Jewish. Maybe there's an explanation, but it seems very, very unlikely.
Sounds fishy.
That there's a good explanation for that. So I'm not going to recommend that movie because of that reason. It was pretty cool though. But I would never recommend. But I can't recommend it because
you just made it mysterious.
I know I did.
Now you've guaranteed more people are going to check it out.
They'll never know because I didn't say what it was called.
Okay.
There's no possible way to find out.
So that's something I don't recommend that at all. Oh wait, I guess I could do one small recommendation here. I was checking out some video game drum and bass, as sometimes I do, and I came across a group that did an excellent mix tape thing called Former Glory by a group of drum and bass enthusiasts, Atlas _493. And if you like your 2000s-y video gamey drum and bass type stuff. That's a pretty good one. You can find it on Bandcamp. There we go. Okay, I came around to a real recommendation instead of my fake terrifying one.
Yes, stance on Jews unknown. As of this
hopefully positive.
Yeah. Holly, is there somewhere that people interested in hearing more from you can check out?
Oh, okay. For me, at the moment, I am currently in PhD writing up hell. So I am a goblin living under a rock that is, so I don't know, various social media, probably, if you want to hear from me. Holly Nielsen, Danish spelling of Nielsen, it throws everyone off. Nielsen. Yeah, I'm going through my head under what I'm doing that's not under NDA. It's the usual really annoying cop-out answer. I am doing, at the moment, recording a podcast series with a production company called History Hit and with Ubisoft, where I'm talking to people who worked on various Assassin's Creed games, and we're talking about the intersection between history and video games, which was meant to be coming out around now, but for reasons that I can't talk about, is going to be coming out probably around November. And yeah, other than that, I'm just slowly, losing my mind writing up my PhD, unfortunately. And in terms of recommendations, I was panicking because I've just been watching absolute trash.
Like The Bachelor.
Not The Bachelor this time. I went to go see Trap and I laughed. Oh boy, did I laugh. What a funny movie. The new M. Night Shyamalan movie with Josh Hartnett.
That dude is good at making a movie where you're just waiting for that twist, and then when it arrives, you're like, ha!
So this one isn't really a twisty, well, it doesn't have a twist, I would say, but it is like, it's like a video game movie, but in a way, like bad video game writing in a movie, and like the exposition is like, there'll be a character like, oh, you can only go backstage if you're with so-and-so. Like, it's like video game style writing. Yeah. It's incredible.
I love his stuff. I don't care. I've come around. I used to be like a hater and saying that it was, cheap or whatever, but I watched him, I've mentioned this on the show before, but I watched him talk about movies and the construction of them and his thinking about them, and he loves movies.
It's all them. He like self-funds it all, and
he loves the craft. He's never lost money. All of his, maybe Avatar did, but Avatar was a bad one, but he's really good. I think he's fun. Like, who else is really making that kind of original, pulpy, ridiculous stuff?
It was a total. So I have like 2 sets for movies and 2 different cinemas to go see them, where I have the nice independent cinema where I go and see films I want to pay attention to, and then I have the cinema that's close by where I get like a big blue ice blast, one of those things that just like dyes probably all your internal organs blue, and then a big bucket of popcorn, and I just like switch off my brain. And it was very much the latter one of those movies, and I had a great time. And I've also just been watching a lot of unsolved mysteries on Netflix, and getting very annoyed when at the end of every episode the mystery remains unsolved. I'm absolutely furious that they're not yet solved. Because I just, when I'm not doing academic work, I don't want to be using my brain, and that includes solving mysteries, apparently. How
do you like the new Bachelorette season? I've heard that it's not so bad, this one. I hear it's got some good moments.
It. I'm afraid after setting myself up as a Bachelor fan, I haven't actually watched it in a while.
Yeah, we've fallen off, but we've heard some decent positive things about this one, because for the first time maybe ever, the Bachelorette protagonist is not a Christian.
Okay.
So she's a Randian.
That's right.
There are 2 choices.
Those are your 2 things.
Randian.
The 2 genders, Bible and Atlas Shrugged.
And so people are having to have conversations about, like, these bro dudes are having to have conversations about religion that they've never had before, because she's a Buddhist. She's and so like they're having to deal with their Christian values.
They're having to think.
They don't really even know about. Yeah, they're having to. The gear is like clicking.
Oh, that is fun. I mean, I'm always on the lookout for more trash TV. So I will take that on board. But yeah, I'm afraid I have nothing good to recommend.
I started watching that Fallout. Pretty good.
Oh, I love that show.
I really like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's my favorite video game adaptation thing I've seen, definitely.
Walton B. Gaagaagiins.
It's good. So congratulations to them.
Yeah. I've got some recommendations. I would like to recommend that if you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, you should rate and review and comment on our show wherever and however you can. You could do it on iTunes, you could do it on YouTube, you could do it on Spotify, anywhere you can find this show. It really helps out our visibility and helps other people find it. And why wouldn't you want other people to listen to this? You can support us on patreon.com/insertcredit to keep the lights on here in the studio. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advert...
I have something about that I should recommend, which is if you did pay for your Patreon subscription through Apple or iTunes, don't do that and do it on the web instead, because Apple is about to charge 30% on top for you to support us.
If you are a subscriber to the Patreon and you're doing it through Apple, please find another venue to do that.
So that you can save yourself some money.
Yeah, save yourself some money, save us some money. It's just better for everybody. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, you could do that by contacting us at show@insertcredit.com. You could join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Holly Nielsen.
And who is John Galt?
Good question.
We'll never know.
No, that guy sucks. That's an Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that totally went over my head.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to have read that book, but in a way I'm glad.
Yeah, he's one of those Ayn Rand Bachelor contestants.